Kirby has always been about the vibes, cute visuals, fun art styles, with simple and engaging gameplay. These games are never really hard, but that doesn't stop them from being just delightful little romps. Yet, in Kirby's expansive repertoire, I feel like there is one game that really doesn't get a lot of love. People will sing their praises for Superstar, Planet Robobot, Epic Yarn, all phenomenal games. Yet there's one little game that I think deserves a lot more love. I'm talking about Kirby Mass Attack. This game did sell over 1 million copies, so it's not like no one played it, but it also happens to be the lowest selling Kirby game that has broken 1 million sales. Which doesn't sound bad, but also consider that this game came out on the Nintendo DS, and this one came out on the Nintendo Gamecube. The main reason for this is almost definitely that this was genuinely one of the last Nintendo published games on the DS. This game came out months after the 3DS did, so while Nintendo handhelds and consumers were moving on to 720p 3D games, this was another 2D pixel art DS game. And when I say this game doesn't get a lot of love, I mean it. There is like very little YouTube content about this game, and the speedrun leaderboard is barren. Not to mention, I feel like I never see fan art or discussion about this game anywhere online. When I played this game as a kid, I loved it, so in this video, I wanted to revisit Kirby Mass Attack and see if it was forgotten for a reason, or if it's really an underappreciated gem. In Kirby Mass Attack, Kirby has been split up into 10 separate pieces. 10 is a very interesting number because it coincides with the percentage of people who watch my videos that are subscribed. Please make that number go up. Anyways, since you are in control of up to 10 Kirbys in this game, the controls need to change a little bit to accommodate that. In this game, you control Kirby's heroic heart. Okay. Which all of the Kirbys will follow. If you tap on the screen once, the Kirbys will walk towards you. If you tap twice, they will barrel towards you like a pack of rabid dogs. To make the Kirbys jump, you can tap above them, and if you tap past a high ledge, they will automatically mantle up it. To fight enemies, you can either have the whole squad roll up and jump them, or for enemies that can't be grabbed or may be out of reach, you can flick Kirbys at them. Then, if you hold down on the touchscreen, the Kirbys will gather up into this little Kirby sack. I don't know why they do that. But that's essentially it. It might sound a little complicated, but when you're actually playing, it feels really intuitive. Let me address this right now. I do own this game physically, I just don't have a capture card for a DS, so I'm using an emulator for all the footage in this video, which I can't say I recommend for this game after experiencing it. I had it set up so I was using my mouse as a substitute for the touchscreen, and this game was not meant to be played like this. Flicking a mouse is way more motion than quickly flicking a stylus, and I had a few moments where I'd accidentally grab the window and resize it, and had a lot of difficulty, particularly with flicking downwards consistently. This is a touchscreen game, and trying to play it with a workaround will just always make it feel clunky. With all that said, let's get into it. This game is cute. I mean really cute. Since this game is one of the last Nintendo published games for the DS, I see it kind of as like a love letter to pixel art, because Nintendo really doesn't make games that look like this anymore. All the sprites are so expressive, every different Kirby having so many different animations for walking, idling, sprinting, jumping. There's something so charming about all the Kirbys acting desynchronously like they're all individual creatures that you're hurting. I like when they want uppies. They want uppies. The environments all pop with vibrant colors, and for how much is going on screen, it rarely, if ever, feels hard to keep track of what's happening. Playing this game again really makes me wish that Nintendo in general would revisit pixel art someday, make some smaller eShop games to sell for $30 to $40. There's still so much charm in an art style like this that I really wish it wasn't chained to system limitations for Nintendo. I mean, look at all these beautiful indie games that use pixel art. There's so much more you can do here, but Nintendo just hasn't. Continuing with presentation, the music in this game is really good. Some tracks may just be the nostalgia for me, But I also found myself genuinely surprised a few times to find out a song that I've heard before, whether in someone else's video or a random playlist, was from this game. In particular, the track Vast Darkness. I genuinely thought this track was from like Ace Attorney or some sort of detective game. Also, this song Night Desert Sky Sands is one I'd completely forgotten about before replaying this game, and it's now easily one of my favorite Kirby tracks. It shouldn't be surprising for Kirby to have good music. I feel like that's a staple of this series at this point. But I thought it was worth noting how this game's music has probably made a larger impression on online culture than the game itself did. Gameplay is interesting. I think the unique style is really novel. It's fun commanding a horde of Kirbys and flicking them at enemies is really satisfying. I do think my biggest complaint is that this game leans a little too heavily on reusing set pieces and gimmicks. There's this one really cool level where you're climbing a tree that is about to fall down. Based on the side that your Kirbys are on, the tree will lean in that direction, and if you stay on that side for too long, I can only assume the tree would fall down. Guy like me doesn't really know because he's too good to let that happen. But this level was really cool. It had a unique gimmick that was well themed, and it may or may not cause motion sickness. As a one-off level, it felt really cool. But then they used it again in this level where you're climbing a tower, which thematically makes much less sense and just didn't feel as interesting the second time. This is just one example, but there's a ton of stuff like this. Boss fights get reused quite a bit. Hell, the final world is 5 levels long. 4 of them are boss stages featuring rematches from the previous 4 world bosses, and then the last level is just the final boss. When this game does new and weird things, it's super charming and engaging. But too often, it feels like the game is desperate to squeeze out more content and reuses set pieces and boss fights. One little quirk I'd like to mention is that the camera can be pretty bad at times. It often tries to follow the backmost Kirby, which means you can't really see what's in front of you. There's a few times where I suffered major losses because of something I couldn't really see coming. Whoopsies, it's okay. Oh, whoopsies, it's okay. No, we'll make it through this. We'll get through this. All of that being said, what is here is really fun. There is no other game that plays like this, so the novelty alone is just a delight. It cannot be stressed enough how good it feels to command an army of ravenous Kirbys. I also really appreciated World 3, which had a bunch of cool minigame stages to really break up the standard gameplay. And speaking of minigames, you unlock some in the Extras tab for collecting medals and stages. Some of these are pretty simple. You got like a little whack-a-mole thing and I don't know, fucking counting. But some of these are really cool and well fleshed out. There's this pinball one with multiple boss fights and levels. There's this bullet hell one with a bunch of stages and bosses. And there's a whole turn-based RPG based on timing mechanics. Kirby isn't a stranger to having some fun minigames, but the more complex ones here are such a treat. Let's talk a little bit about progression. In this game, there are 4 main worlds, with each one home to 11 to 12 stages. While you do start with 1 Kirby, you create more by eating a lot of fruit in the levels. I don't know, man, he's hungry. He's got kids to feed. In each world, you start on the outer ring on the world map, and upon completing the correct level, you will find a rainbow path that leads inwards. This would lead you to believe that some levels are optional since they don't progress towards the center, and that would be a fatal mistake. Once you do reach the center, you fight a boss, then move on to the next world where your Kirby count gets reset to 0. But once you reach the end of World 4, World 5 spawns, but Kirby is not strong enough to reach that island by himself. No! Kirby needs the help of every rainbow medal in the game to unlock this final world. What are the rainbow medals? Essentially, each stage there are 3 to 5 medals, and one of them is arbitrarily rainbow. This means you have to go back to every level in the game and collect the medals you missed before progressing. There are so many ways this could have been done that wouldn't have sucked as hard. One, this game could have told you that the rainbow medals were required to begin with. Two, why are there rainbow medals in the first place? Just make it so the player needs to collect a certain amount of regular medals instead of arbitrarily making some more important than others. The flexibility would make this much more interesting, as you'd be able to replay levels that you liked or remembered instead of whatever ones you didn't get the medal for. 3, just don't do this. These kinds of backtracking quests just always reek of lazy padding and stand to make your game less fun in general. Because of the scuffed way I had to play this game, there was one level in particular that I skipped because it was very finicky. This level where you have to flick down in an elevator or else you get crushed. It was quite a roadblock for me, so I decided to just skip it, and having to come back and do it to beat the game for this video, I really didn't want to deal with that. So in order to get the full experience and finish the game without having to collect rainbow medals and levels like that, I decided to just boot up my old copy from when I was a kid and play the final boss on there. And this boss kind of sucks. Let me again remind you, to even unlock this boss, you have to refight every world boss again. And then when you fight him, he just kind of like slams his hands a few times and shoots really slow moving projectiles. He doesn't really have a lot of health either. The game just kind of ends and sends you to the credits where Kirby is fishing. Now that shit rules. It's really unfortunate because, especially with the build-up, having to get all the medals, refighting all the bosses, you would think the final boss would at least be a little more complex. I think overall this game is complicated to talk about because I truly love so much of what they tried and did here. The new gameplay style is really weird, but it's so unique. There isn't another game like this. The art style, the music and presentation are all on point. But the end of the game is such a drag, having to revisit all the old levels, reusing the same boss fights, the final boss just being really underwhelming. It feels like the devs were rushed to finish this game and tried to slap together something substantial at the end last minute. It's sad because while I think a game like this could totally work if you iron out all the issues I've talked about, this type of game will never really get another shot. With the DS and 3DS gone, Nintendo has shifted away from touchscreen games. Sure, the Switch has a touchscreen, but it seems pretty clear that Nintendo doesn't want to make touchscreen games because they wouldn't work in docked mode. The Wii U was kind of the last chance for these weird touchscreen Kirby games to shine, and they chose to make a sequel to Canvas Curse instead. It's unfortunate that the most unique games from past Nintendo consoles aren't easy to remake or port. Whether it's touchscreen stuff or Wii motion controls, these games will always feel great on original hardware, and just a little bit off on anything else. It stands a testament to how Nintendo makes such unique consoles with such unique experiences and exciting features, but it's also a curse because games like Kirby Mass Attack, Nintendo Land, Kirby and the Rainbow Curse are all doomed to forever be stuck on irrelevant hardware, or games like Skyward Sword and Super Mario Galaxy will be forced to make clunky concessions to work on newer hardware. I miss this era of weird experimental games. I mean, Kirby especially around this time. We had Canvas Curse, Mass Attack, Epic Yarn, all incredibly different games with their own identities. And now Kirby has its mainline classic platforming titles, and all the weird experimentation is saved for simple and small $15 eShop titles. Even if Mass Attack overall isn't the best experience, I wish we would get games that went all in on weird ideas like it did again. I wish developers had a chance to revisit these ideas and make a sequel that refines and perfects them. If you're not going to make touchscreen consoles anymore, can you at least port these games to mobile or develop new ones for mobile? I think Kirby Mass Attack would actually work really well on a phone. I think the reason people forget about Kirby Mass Attack is not only is it the end of the DS's lifespan, it was also essentially the end of an era for Kirby. Kirby would go on to be more consistent and make great games like Return to Dreamland, Triple Deluxe, Planet Robobot, but Mass Attack and the games like it would slowly fade away as the final remnants of when Kirby was just a little bit weirder. Hey, I hope you liked that video. If you made it this far, why not drop a sub and a like? I earned it, right? I've been thinking about revisiting this game for a while and decided to binge it in a few days so I could talk about it. What do you think? Did you play this game when you were younger? Had you even heard of it? Let me know in the comments below. Need people to join so that I can have clips of humorous quips.
Oh, want me to hit one real quick?
Yeah, hit a humorous quip.
Let me think.
Yeah. You got so much time to think. None of the thinking will go in the video at all. So it'll feel like it's off the dome.
Yeah, just cut this out. Like, this didn't even happen.
There's nothing important going on in the game. I'm just playing pinball.
Wait, you ready for this?
Yeah.
You ready for this? Is your refrigerator running?
No.
Oh. It's not?
No, it's not.
Oh. Well, that's good, I guess.
Is it?
Well, not really good for your... not really good for your food. It's gonna spoil.
Yeah. That wasn't a very humorous quip at all. It was just a quip that made me existential about the food in my fridge.
Well, I'm 100% your refrigerator is running. So can you just say yes?
Yeah, my refrigerator's running.
Well, you better go catch it!
What do you mean?
Isn't that... What do you mean? What do I mean?
What do you mean by that?
It's
I would
like
have to catch
away,
a refrigerator.
You know?
No, it's not running away. It's running. Like it's on.
Yeah, it's like... Yeah, but it's like running away.
No, it's not. It's not doing that. I don't know why you're assuming that it's doing that.
It's a joke, okay?
Ask for a quip.
Yeah, I gave you one. You just didn't like it.
That's not a quip. That's a joke.
What is a quip? What's the difference?
Hit this asshole. He's trying to fish Kirby's. Get him. Get this guy. Get him.
I'm trying to fish some Kirby's.
Whoa.
It's me.
That's unethical.
It's me.
See, that's a quip. That's a nice quip based on what was happening.
Oh, okay.